Himes here. Today we're at Bald Birds Brewing Company here in Audubon. We're going to hear a little bit about what they're about, and just to remind you that it's always 5 o'clock somewhere. Cheers.
So we opened September 15th of last year, so we're just pushing 4 months now. Basically, we wanted to open in a space that kind of seemed like it needed a good community space like this, something that's wide open, in an area where there's not a ton of craft beer, there's not a ton of places to go for craft beer, let alone a place that brews it, So we thought this would be a good spot, especially being in the corporate park where we are. There's like 3,000 people that work in this whole complex. So it's a great spot for happy hours, for corporate events, like that kind of thing. But also a good spot for everyone in Audubon and the surrounding area to come and, bring friends, bring their family, play games in a big wide open space like this.
Nice. So as far as food options go, what do you guys offer?
So as of now, we don't have a kitchen on location, but most days we're open. We do our absolute best to keep a food truck on site. For the most part, every weekend day we'll have a food truck here, and we keep pretty up to date on social media, Instagram, Facebook, about what those trucks are going to be and when they'll be here. So it's everything from barbecue to vegan options to burritos. Like, it's all over the place.
Nice. If you don't have a food truck, can people bring their own stuff, or how's that work?
Yep. And even if something doesn't fit your dietary needs, if a food truck's already here, and say it's all barbecue and you're a vegan, like, always feel free to bring stuff in. We're pretty easygoing in that regard.
Have you worked with any of the other local restaurants? Do they deliver or anything like that?
Our bartenders are pretty well versed on every single takeout option in the area. So if you ask them, they're always quick with a handful of menus. We've got a variety of to-go and delivery options that are just a few minutes away. So it's never a big deal, even if we don't truck here.
So you mentioned you keep up to date with that on social media. How can people find you?
So on Instagram, we're just at Bald Birds Brewing. Facebook, just search Bald Birds Brewing. Those are the two that we keep up with the most. On Instagram, a few posts back, we'll always have the weekly events calendar and food truck calendar. Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, let's take a walk around, see what you guys have to offer.
Cool. So it's been pretty free-form since we opened. Like I said, it's only been 4 months. So we're kind of just hitting our stride right now with how many beers we want to try and keep on tap, what variety of styles we want to do, and kind of, we're just starting to establish flagships. So right now we have 9 beers on that range from, the lightest Pilsner you can imagine to, the stout you're drinking there, with 4 hoppy varieties in between, 2 of which are super hazy and juicy. So we try to cater to as many people as we can, while still keeping the tap list fun for us to brew,
Sure.
So, like I said, alluding to flagships, Sumo Suit, our hazy IPA, 6.9%, we just started putting that out into distribution. So that's our first flagship beer.
Nice.
Everything else, we're just doing one-offs. Every time we brew a new batch, it's a brand new recipe. We're just still experimenting with stuff, finding our stride, making sure that we're making the best recipe possible before we repeat that recipe. So that's the fun thing about our tap list, is it changes every week. We generally have 2 to 3 new beers on every 1 or 2 weeks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So who's responsible for those recipes? And
so as of now, it's just me making everything up, sometimes off the top of my head.
Nice.
Most of the time more premeditated than that. Yeah, Joey, the owner, and I, and all of us, we kind of collaborate on names, like what we want to see in any given beer, what we think people want to see. Because, like I said before, we really want to cater to the community, but also keep it fun for us and appealing for us. So.
You said you're just started distribution. Where can people find you? That's not if they're not in the tap room.
So I make the beer. I don't sell the beer. I know we're in 15 different spots right now.
Oh, wow.
So even if I did have the list, I wouldn't remember it. But off the top of my head, we're in Graham's Pub. We're at Hilltown Tavern. which I can't remember where either of those two are. But both of those spots are really loving the place, or loving our beers. Hilltown sold out of our beer in like their first weekend or something like that. So it's going over pretty well, which is cool. And with that, we're going to keep brewing Sumo Suit, so bars that have had it on can keep seeing it.
Sure.